go.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to another edition of Split Decision MMA, your weekly MMA podcast brought to you from the 209. 209? What? Coming to you live from the SinCal Studios here in Modesto, California.
I feel like I should have had like some makeup put on today.
Do
or
backwards?
Something.
Are we gonna go backwards?
I don't know.
We don't know what's going on.
If
Facebook
else...
is being really weird.
Yeah.
Any of you weird Facebook techies out there that can help us out? It's not only typing backwards, but it's what else is it doing? Typing backwards.
It is typing backwards. It's
not let us type anything.
Going left
so we're gonna
to
have
right.
We're hopefully going to see if we can figure this out. Yes, we've done the control shift thing. We've checked the settings, everything.
Wild.
But as long as we're going live, we're here to bring you all the
That's
MMA
right.
news from last week. We got stuff
bitches?
going on this week. We got fights to recap. Obviously, UFC 244 is going to be a huge part of this discussion. We'll get into a little bit of Bellator and the fights coming up.
We got bitches in the lobby smoking it up.
Let's start off with the big story. Continuation from the past 2 weeks. Walt Harris's daughter still missing. However, they have captured this motherfucker right here, who looks like he already got beat up by the police.
Yeah.
I think they should just lock him in a room with Walt Harris, and I'm sure we'll get answers. But this is Mr.
Hey, that guy that just made the black eye comment, I deleted it. That's racist.
This is Ibrahim Yazid, who's 29. He was apprehended by U.S. Marshals on Thursday as a person of interest in the kidnapping case. He was reportedly caught off of the Pine Forest Road exit in Florida, Escambia County, Florida, which is outside of Pensacola. Now, they're saying that he has been charged with first-degree kidnapping, and he's also facing charges in an unrelated kidnapping, robbery, attempted murder case that happened in Montgomery.
Imagine that. And he's still walking the street.
Yeah, he failed to appear to court on his previous trial charges. He had a $280,000 bond. He is also arrested for aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer. He's been given a 13-month suspension for felony drug possession. He also was arrested and charged for attempted murder for ramming a police car. I mean, this guy is not necessarily the best citizen that's going out about there.
He's like the life version of Grand Theft Auto.
They did say that hints and tips from the public did play a role in obtaining this arrest for this guy.
People want that money.
They also said there is a strong possibility at least one other person is involved, and that they are expecting more arrests to be coming and announced. So hopefully we get to the bottom of this. They still have not found Walt Harris's daughter, but they have arrested somebody that is a person of interest that had something to do with it, most likely. So
hopefully they get him. Hopefully somebody's brought to justice. I hope they find her, but it sounds more and more like
would be the better thing.
It's not going to be. It doesn't sound like it's going to be good when we do find her.
We have Colbey Northcutt. This is Sage Northcutt's sister, 26 years old, announced on social media that she has also signed with One Championship out in Singapore. And she's going to be making her promotional debut later this month at the Edge of Greatness event for One Championship. She will be fighting at flyweight. She'll be taking on Putri Padimi, who is a Muay Thai and karate specialist. This is going to be interesting. I'd like to see how she does. Now, she does have her own career as well. She has won 3 straight after her debut loss as an amateur. She has only won or lost her she lost her first fight as a professional 2 years ago, but still signed with One. Good for her, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Family stuff, family business.
Family. We have Combates. Combates Americanas has signed an exclusive deal with Access TV to bring Combates Americanas to the English language. So Access will be having an English language broadcast of this in the United States and Canada. Combates is also obviously the big Latin American MMA organization.
Right.
That is going to be featuring later Tito Ortiz versus Alberto Del Rio, which I have the poster for that. I'll have to show you later, and we'll definitely show it as it gets closer to the fight. But it's hilarious because they have Tito wearing his belt.
Right.
But they had to Photoshop out the UFC logo, and it's just like this weird octagon on a cage.
Oh, because he can't use
it like this. And then they have a picture of Alberto Del Rio holding his big WWE belt, but they had to Photoshop out the WWE logo. It's pretty funny. But yeah,
but to answer your question in somebody else's link the other day. You're asking why Colby's still running around with his belt, so he can get in a fight with these guys. I mean, that's the price of admission, right? You got to have your old belt, or you got to be like that guy who got the one from the pawn shop. Could he get in this fight?
Well, whoever wins this YouTube belt that's going on this weekend, right? There's a YouTube boxing belt that's going on this weekend. Can you bring your belt as a way to get in?
What is that guy's name? Logan something?
Logan Paul. He's fighting KSI because the first time they went to a draw.
I feel weird that I even know that.
They went to a draw. Now they're actually going to be boxing again. We'll see what ends up happening. Anyway, Combates is having an event in San Antonio that's going down today. You can watch this on, I think it's on DAZN. Excuse me, DAZN. I know you can watch it on Telemundo if you get that. This is going to be the one that's.
I don't know if you hang a wire.
Thunder Rosa, who we talked about 2 weeks ago. Thunder Rosa is making her debut. I know a bunch of you guys were excited about that.
I like the Nadine girl. I was watching, what was it, Fight IQ or something, and she was on there pretty quick. And again, I mean, everybody looks quick shadow boxing or hitting the mitts.
Hitting the mitts.
Yeah.
So right before UFC 244, The Rock, Mr. Dwayne Johnson, said he wanted to make a big announcement to MMA fans and the MMA community. So at the weigh-ins for UFC 244, he came out, did his little spiel. You know, they got him to say, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, and everyone was going crazy, and it was all great. He actually came out to his own entrance music from the WWE, which I thought was hilarious. And then he makes this announcement that his production company, $7 Productions, is going to be making a movie about the Smashing Machine, Mark Kerr. He got about 10 people to clap.
Yeah, because, again,
sadly, most people don't know who Mark Kerr is.
Right.
If you are one of those people, or maybe if you need a reminder who Mark Kerr is.
Blake Carmichael knows who Kerr is.
Mark Kerr, number one, he is 15-11 in MMA. He has been around for a very long time. He got his start back in 1997 at the World Vale Tudo Championships in Brazil. This is the Championship 3. He also is a two-time UFC heavyweight tournament winner. He won UFC 14 and UFC 15.
Which means he fought 18 times in one night.
3 times.
In broken glass, barefoot. According to Ken Shamrock this week.
Well, yeah, this was also about the time that the UFC was having issues getting sanctioned in different places. Kowal
said 7 people clapped.
I counted 8, maybe 9. I was one of them, so does that count? That's 10.
Yeah, I clapped at home.
Yeah.
I gave the golf.
I was
clap.
like, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Mark Kerr, 2-time UFC heavyweight champion. This guy went over to Pride after the UFC was struggling to get fights and be able to pay some of the fighters. Again, this is pre-Zuffa days. This is when they were having some issues. Went over to Pride, made a lot of money, did very well.
They weren't covering the cost of the event.
This guy was probably the scariest heavyweight between 1997 and I would say 2000. He was a scary, scary dude. He went over to Abu Dhabi Combat Club, which is the submission grappling championships. In 1999, he won first place. In 2000, he won first place. And then he entered the open weight tournament in 2000 and also won. He's won 2 super fights in Abu Dhabi. He was an NCAA championship wrestler who beat Randy Couture back when he was wrestling in college. One of the nicest guys ever. He did, however, fall on hard times. There is a documentary that HBO aired back in the day called The Smashing Machine. This is a really good documentary. If you haven't found it yet or you haven't seen it, go out and find it. I think it's on Amazon. You can get it pretty cheap. I think you can get it even on a streaming service of some site.
You can probably find it on YouTube, too.
Yeah, I believe you can find parts of it. You get to see a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. You get to see some training that he did with Boss Rutan when Boss Rutan was at the top of his game, training fighters. You get to see him with Mark Coleman. You get to see a lot of things going on in Pride. But yeah, he did fall on hard times, had bouts with a depression and painkiller addiction, talked about openly using steroids at one time. So they're going to be making a movie about him where The Rock is actually going to play him. He's going to play Mark Kerr. They have not announced a date, a director, a writer, but they just wanted to announce it. It was just a little sad that the newer fans did not quite understand who Mark Kerr was and why they were making this movie. And I could see even the disappointment on The Rock's face. He was just like, nobody. Okay, well, I guess I'll take some questions. I'll take 3 questions from some reporters.
Hopefully his media and advertising company took what happened there and realize that they need to really.
I hope it doesn't discourage them.
Oh, I don't think any. Like I'm telling you, there's a lot of people just like the PFL. There's a lot of people that have a lot of money right now that are willing to gamble on anything.
True. So I would like to see this movie. I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully we get to see that movie about the Smashing Machine, Mark Kerr. Again, you want to see some stuff, go on YouTube. Find yourself UFC 14 and 15. Find some early Pride. I think from like Pride 2 to probably the Openweight tournament in 2000. You can find some really great Mark Kerr matches. This guy truly was the Smashing Machine. Let's get into the big news. Let's talk about UFC 244 because that took up pretty much all of last weekend and a lot of stuff that happened this week with the fallout of UFC 244.
Yeah.
You watched the whole event.
I did.
Were you entertained the whole event?
Yes.
There were some great fights. Yes. Some great fights on this card. We had President Donald Trump was there. Not necessarily got the reaction I think he expected.
It depends which media source you watched.
Okay, well, talking to people that were actually there, he got fucking booed.
Okay.
And he got booed hard.
All right.
Yes, there were people clapping. There were people cheering. Donald Jr. tweeted, everyone was chanting USA and Donald Trump. People that were there said they didn't hear that at all.
But there's video, like I'm telling you, just depending on which media side you're on, people have video to back whatever.
I would say the majority of people booed him.
Okay.
Including Joe Rogan, who said, I'm not on either way. I took my headphones off to listen, and all I could hear was, ooh. He goes, there were a couple people chanting behind him. Yes, they were clapping. There was people with signs that had impeachment signs. There were people that had signs for him. However, for the most part, he was getting booed, unfortunately. This is what happens when you have a controversial president. Also, I think it had something to do with the fact that he was in New York, and New York is very, very...
New York hates him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
totally hates him.
Of course, he liked to spin it and said that it felt like walking into a Trump rally, walking into the garden.
Again, everybody spin.
Spin.
What I want to know is how come he didn't talk about my health care while he was there? How come he didn't talk about immigration while he was there?
My favorite thing was Dana White posted a picture of himself and Donald Trump watching the prelim fights backstage in Dana White's green room, which he likes to kind of watch, and he's always, controlling buttons, and it's the man behind the man behind the curtain while he's so he doesn't always not always down on the floor except for like the main card. And one of my favorite things, he posted this picture of him and Donald Trump sitting there watching the fights backstage, right?
Right.
On his Instagram. Khabib, 46,000 likes to his comment says, hey, ask him about my dad's visa. I thought that was great. Good for Khabib, man.
I know. I know we put a photoshopped out one with us in it.
He's watching our show.
The best one that I seen, and I think it was deleted multiple times, but people kept putting it up, was a casting couch with Jeffrey Epstein and who's the redhead that cut off Trump's head?
Oh yeah. Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin. So Kathy Griffin was on the couch, and Jeffrey Epstein was there, and I was like, how is this even here? And I went back to show somebody. It was gone.
It was gone.
I was like, yeah, that's not going to last very long.
This event was so big that the MGM in Las Vegas, which was hosting the Canelo boxing fight, asked if they could get the feed stream from the UFC.
Because people would not leave them alone.
They texted Dana personally and called him and was able to get the live broadcast of the main event for everyone that was there for the Canelo
and they actually
Kovalev card.
They actually held off their main fight until this fight was over.
Canelo refused to fight until it was over because they knew that the numbers. And Dana White's like, look, I told them not to have a bout the same day as my bout. Like, I want both sports to survive.
Right.
You should just hold off a day or go next weekend or whatever. We had already had this number here. I was telling him, and he's like, but of course, it's Golden Boy, and it's the scumbag that is Oscar De La Hoya. He wanted to keep going it. But yeah, they held off fighting until, and there was people there watching the fight.
And what I'm going to say is going to kind of tie in with that. I'm also hearing from the forum life, Dana's having a little problem with the boxing end.
Yes, he is. I've heard that as well. He just said, it's the industry, it's boxing.
Right.
There's a lot of red tape.
It is.
But we're working on it.
Yeah.
So, let's get into the BMF belt. We had talked about this a lot. We were wondering what it was going to look like. For $50,000, this is what you're getting. I'm pretty sure, I know I tweeted it. You could get a replica of this belt, by the way, if you want, for $85 on the UFC website today.
Oh, really?
You could get it the night of the fight. You can get a replica if you want.
That's fine. I know a guy who's got a CNC machine.
I could probably get a replica
for $20.
Why they went with the Times New Roman font. You couldn't even use Sofachrome. You couldn't even use the UFC font. You had to go Times New Roman.
Can we use garlic while we're beating this dead horse?
Come on, man.
We're going 2 episodes with your Sofachrome?
Just come on, man.
All right. Just look at the camera and say Sofa King.
I will give them credit that the UFC was bold enough to write motherfucker on a belt.
Yeah.
It actually says motherfucker on the belt, which is cool. But other than that, I was a little let down with the overall design of the belt.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? They only had, what, a month to prepare, something like that. But anyway, let's get into the card, and then we'll get into the controversial stoppage that was the end of the bout.
It's not, I don't know, man.
All right.
It's not that controversial.
Let's go on Fight Pass.
Let their alcohol
Hakeem Dawodo gets the win over Julio Arce. Lyman Good over Chance Raconte.
That was a
Caitlin
nice
Chukagian
one.
Gets the win over Jennifer Maya. This is all on Fight Pass.
Did you have Chukagian winning that?
I don't know.
Could you have inserted my favorite draw?
No.
No?
You have to die, right? Somebody's got to die. There's no such thing as a draw. You got Jairzinho Rozenstruik over Andrei Arlovsky 29 seconds into the first round. Andrei Arlovsky,
That's bullshit.
Please don't yell at me again, but your chin's not there, even though you got hit in the temple.
Yeah.
You've taken one too many knockouts to the head, my friend. Become a trainer. You were great at boxing. Keep raising those pit bulls, man. They're beautiful. Edamine Shabat gets the win over Brad Tavares with a head kick. Beautiful head kick.
That was great.
Beautiful head kick. Shane Burgos gets the win over Makwan Americani. What else do we got? We got Corey Anderson gets the big win over Johnny Walker, killing the hype train that was Johnny Walker. Went kind of crazy in the cage for a little bit.
Cost him 10 grand.
Was a little upset.
That came out today.
He basically, he said that that he's demanding a title shot, either that or he needs to be released. And Dana White was like, "Look, man, that's not how this works. Like, how about you take the fights we give you and you'll move up? You made a big statement. I'll give you that. You looked great.
He did.
You were on the verge of kind of obscurity and just kind of not doing that great. And you've made a statement that this is why you belong.
Yeah, stay the path.
And you're moving. Stay the path, but you don't get to demand the title shot.
I don't think anybody should be demanding anything. I think as it comes to you, it comes to you.
Because I think you could call your shot if you've been winning quite a bit.
No, you could say, I would like to fight.
I believe
I don't think you can look in the camera and go, you got to give me...
Or I'm out.
Or I'm out.
Then they're going to be like, move along.
Move the fuck on.
Kevin Lee gets a beautiful, out-of-nowhere head kick, in my opinion, over Gregor Gillespie. I think a lot of people had Gregor Gillespie in this fight. Kevin Lee, man, looked like a completely different fighter. I don't know.
If you went back to his training footage, he worked on head kicks a lot.
He looked like a completely different fighter, and he actually attributes his move to TriStar to why he looked like a different fighter. Now, TriStar Gym is the gym that obviously is up in Canada that put out George St. Pierre as their main prospect.
How come they can't take care of his skin infection? This time it was an ingrown hair, and we all know it's staph.
Was there a hole in his chest?
No, there was a big lump, and he said it was an ingrown hair. But it's the same location as the staph. It's staph.
Maybe it's just an ingrown hair.
Knock it off.
Derek Lewis gets the big win over Blagny Ivanov in a split decision. How did you see the fight going? Did you?
I had Ivanov.
Ivanov the whole way. Trying to just go Russian. Is that what you're doing?
No.
Is that what you're doing?
I'm just telling you. Everybody in the living room. Because there's 2 guys that picked Derek, and they even told me we picked Derek, but that's bullshit.
But it looked a little.
Yeah.
A little. All right. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson gets the win over Vincent Luke.
Thompson did exactly what he does.
He started going to his bread and butter.
He's the closest thing in the UFC to a ninja that we have.
Maybe Karate Kid. I don't know about ninja.
Whatever. I even picked against him, and I'm saying that.
Darren Till gets a split decision over Kevin Gastelum.
I thought it was clear.
As a draw?
No, I thought it was clear.
All Darren Till the whole way.
And that's the only one. That's the only pick I got for the night.
That was the only one. And then, of course, your main event, Jorge Masvidal gets the win over Nate Diaz. TKO doctor's stoppage at the end of round 3 going into round 4. This was the cut that was on Nathan Diaz's eye. It is above his eye. Now, they did say at the time, there's that beautiful picture that everyone likes to put out there where they're running water down his face,
right, which
splits the cut open worse and makes it look all flipped inside out and all that shit. But right here, it doesn't look like that.
Why couldn't they just stapled it?
They didn't have it like that. Now, this is the same cut, and I need to kind of go into this a little bit more in depth when we talk about Nathan Diaz.
And it's not a defense, and we'll just start off all the way. We completely agree with the scoring.
Oh, yes.
We agree with the stoppage.
You agree with the scoring a little bit more than I do, but I do think it was where it was at. So, going into the third round, Jorge Masvidal was winning all 3 rounds, hands down. 2 judges gave the second round a 10-8. Dennis seems to agree with that. I went back and watched the fight. I don't know about a 10-8, but I am totally comfortable with he was winning all 3 rounds. If it had stopped at the third round like a normal fight, not a main event or a title fight, totally would have went Jorge Masvidal's way. I even believe that Nate Diaz would have had to either submit or TKO Masvidal to win this fight, because otherwise he was definitely losing a decision, and a unanimous decision at this fight. However, if you want to talk about this cut on Nate Diaz, you have to put in your mind, he's had this same cut 9 other times in his career. This exact same cut. He had that fight against Benson Henderson, Josh Thompson, Rafael dos Anjos, McGregor the second time, Gray Maynard, Kurt Pellegrino, Melvin Gillard, McGregor the first time, and just recently the Anthony Pettis-Wheaties guy fight. He's had that same cut. Now, he's won 5 of those and lost 4 of those. I'm not saying that the cut was going to determine whether or not he was going to win or lose.
Bisping fought with one eye.
Allegedly. But this cut to me on Nate doesn't seem like it's out of the realm of something that doesn't normally happen when he fights. Okay? Also, you got a lot of people that wanted to say that including Nate Diaz himself, and including the commentary, if you were listening to it while you're watching the third round, that Nate Diaz tends to shine in the 4th and 5th rounds.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, go back and watch the Anthony Pettis fight, the Conor McGregor 2 fight, the Maynard fight the second time, Dong Hyun Kim fight, and the Cerrone fight, all which times, while he may not have won the fight outright, he did strive in rounds 4 and 5.
And on the Masvidal side of it, we've never seen him in a 4th or 5th round yet, have we?
I got to go back and look at that.
He hasn't had a title fight.
He hasn't had a title fight, but he's had main event fights, so it's possible he went in the 5th round. 3, Benson Henderson, I found 1.
But he lost that one.
2, Gilbert Melendez, that was in Strikeforce, in which he lost as well.
See, so 5th round, he's a loser.
I don't know about he's a loser, but I will say that I think, in my personal opinion, that Nate Diaz should have been getting the opportunity to go to round 4. I'm not the only one that believes that. There's a lot of people online, including Big John McCarthy, who's refereed a lot of these fights. He said he's had fights before that look at the point, and he goes, look, I've been in there before working together with the doctor and go, look, I know it looks bad, but it's not because of who it is and where we're at in the fight. If it opens up more in the 4th round, all right, I'll stop it. I'll be the first one to call in the doctor and say, look at this. The doctor had walked away from Nate Diaz and then walked back in to stop this fight, which seemed a little odd to me.
Because there was a guy from the Mafia 5 rows up who shook his head. He's like, no.
This is also New York, the New York State Athletic Commission, who is relatively new to MMA. Okay? Relatively new. They also.
You think California would have let it just keep going?
Yeah, at least to the 4th round. I think Vegas would have too. In fact, we know that. We look at the.
So is that our new? So that's our latest fighter. 4th round Diaz.
4th round Diaz.
Fourth round Diaz.
You know, looking at the stitches, he only got
better
20.
Than C-level Kane.
He only got 22 stitches in his eye. And again, it's not in his eyelid; it's on his brow and under.
Yeah, but that thing was hanging.
And then you also had a fight in line. I don't know if it was. To me, it wasn't. It was when they poured water into it.
Okay.
But when they had it gunked up in between the rounds, I thought it looked all right.
I'm not. Don't attack me.
I'm not. Just my opinion.
You know me.
I mean, you see this fight.
My job is to play the advocate.
This is Tyson Fury.
If we agree on everything, this show is shit.
This is Tyson Fury, who went 12 rounds with this cut. Okay, in his eyelid and above his brow. He went 12 rounds. This took 45 stitches to seal up.
That is the Gypsy King, my friend.
Yeah. Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm just saying. That's a Gypsy King.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay. You can't stop a Gypsy King's fight.
This was in Vegas. I think, and I think a lot of people said, I mean, you had the New York State Athletic Commission almost not let somebody fight because they had fake boobs. You had the New York State Athletic Commission stopped Michael Chandler from fighting, telling him he had a broken leg, even though he started walking around on it and was not broken, clearly. Now, he did end up later having a pinched nerve, but it was not a broken leg. And it was the same doctor. In fact, Nate Diaz, after getting stitched up, was joking around with the doctor on Instagram and was like, thanks for hooking me up, doc. Thanks for signing me up. And he goes, yeah, no problem. Looks good. I wasn't the one who stopped the fight.
Right. That's the one he walked in and out with, too. He goes, I wasn't the one who stopped the fight. No, you're cool, man.
You're cool. You're cool.
Other one.
However, the doctor that did stop the fight has been bombarded with harassment calls.
Poor guy.
Death threats.
Poor guy. I feel bad for him.
This is Dr. Nitin K. Sethri of New York. Now, someone went on the forums. I believe there was another cut woman and or ringside doctor who was on the forums that says she knows him. This guy has 2 degrees from Cornell, so he is a legit doctor who's done multiple fights before. He said, I'm a good neurologist. I'm a good doctor. People calling me fucking scum and calling my office and yelling and threatening for my fear for my health and safety. I believe somebody's going to get hurt. I've asked the police to step in.
That's where we're at as society now, man. That's ridiculous.
He says, that I understand, Nate Diaz's fight, and he would have kept fighting no matter what, but I believe that damage to the eye was going to happen. Again, as a fan of A, the fight game, B, of Nate Diaz, I think it could have gone one more round. I do not think he was winning the fight by any means. Jorge Masvidal was landing huge body blows with kicks, with punches. He seemed to have the power over Nate Diaz. I would have liked to see a round 4.
But so okay, and then
if the cut opens up more, stop it by all means.
The other thing I want to squash too is the people saying that Masvidal wasn't even tired, and like Dodge Gott's in his notes.
I went through every single round. He started
raising his hands. He's open mouth breathing.
In between 3 and 4, he had walked back to his corner with the hands above his head, taking big breaths.
Big breaths.
In between 2 and 3, he was taking some decent sized breaths. So I don't know. I am not delusional to think that Nate Diaz was winning this fight in any chance at all. I do believe that. Congratulations to Jorge Masvidal. I'm really excited that this fight actually got to happen. I think just like a lot of fans, there's a lot of people that are disappointed. There's a lot of haters out there that are upset that Trump got booed and, that's their guy. And they don't like Nate Diaz because he choked out their other guy, Conor McGregor, who hasn't won a fight in 3 years.
Right.
But...
What do you mean? That old guy didn't come back at him.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? I would have liked to see a 4th round. Now, they immediately said, Dana White originally said, I want to run it back. This sucks. This would have never happened in Las Vegas. This is only in New York. Later, he said right before at the press conference that, I don't know, I went and looked at the cut. It looked pretty bad. I'm okay with the stoppage. They asked him if he has any interest in running it back. He said no. He said originally yes, now he says no. He says that Jorge Masvidal, hands down, looks like Fighter of the Year 2019. I can't argue with that. Who else?
As much as it pains me, Adesanya.
Over Jorge Masvidal?
At this point, I have to say, Jorge
Masvidal has had a great year.
I'm not saying he isn't in the running,
but he's had a great year.
He has had a great year. And again, I'm not big on Adesanya. But he's had a really good year himself.
He's also had a great year. So Dana White says, he would like to see maybe one more fight somewhere along the lines to get ready for a title shot, that he has a few options that they're going to lay down for Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal, and originally post-fight, was saying he was fine with a rematch. He would like to run it back. He has no problem running it back. Nate Diaz says obviously he wants a rematch. He just thinks that it's probably not going to happen. He said, I would love to run it back. That's the only thing I want to do, and that's my intention. But I could already see the fuckery coming.
Right.
That flat out, he does not think he is going to be given his rematch.
Well, just the fact that they now do their fights through ESPN and nobody has a clear idea of what the pay-per-views were done.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yep, I agree with that. But he goes, it's Jorge Masvidal. He deserves everything he gets. He's a great fighter. He's been around for a long time, and right on him. But I'm coming for you, and that's my plan. He got the job done like he was supposed to, so right on for George. But I'm coming back for you. Let me heal up, and let's do this again. He said, I want you to let you know, my eye was already shit from the last fight. And anyway, you sneeze on me, I bleed. Yeah. Blood doesn't hurt, just in case everybody knows. I feel like the doctor played me. If you're the baddest motherfucker, are you going to take that as a win? Conor didn't take his rematch. Hopefully Masvidal will, because I feel like I'm the one taking all the rematches. He's like, I'm the one that made this whole shit happen. I was the one that brought the presidents He's like, so I want it to happen again, and I plan on getting along with the UFC, and hopefully they plan on bringing it back. He says, basically says, how many fights have you been in, Dana? He doesn't know. Fuck you. Like, he doesn't know. He's like, I've been making too many names for people. And he's basically said that if you want to be a band, oh yeah, my favorite was fuck The Rock.
He can get it.
But yeah, fuck The Rock. That motherfucker over there playing me, man. I see him smiling with Masvidal.
Respectfully though.
Yeah, I like that. He should have had Mike Tyson hand. We should have had Mike Tyson handing out the belt because he's the real motherfucker. I didn't give a fuck about the belt anyway, so he can get it too. So on that side, fuck him. It was West Coast. Mike Tyson should have been there. He's the baddest man on the planet. I mean, The Rock's cool. Y'all got me at the bad time. I like ballers, but he just picked the wrong side. I understand why he picked it, but with all due respect, he could get it too. The press conference was great, man. We had some great quotes. He said, I can already see the fuckery happening, and if that happens, guess what? I'll take 3 years off again, and we'll see what happens up there. So we'll see what ends up happening. And then this week,
Sutherland's saying that the Edwards should be next. Masvidal, Leon Edwards.
I don't think Edwards deserves it.
No?
Nope. That's just my opinion. I mean, it makes an interesting story. I understand that, but I don't think he deserves it. I don't think he's quite up there. At least that's just my opinion. Yeah, and then also we have Nate Diaz tweeting this picture and putting this on his Instagram where he says, fuck a rematch. That shit was over before it started. I'm going out on tour. Peace out, fight game. Everyone's
nowhere does it say retire.
Am I retiring? Now, we've seen something like this before.
But he already said in this interview, I'm never retiring.
Conor McGregor came out and said at one point, I'm retiring. Thanks for the cheese. And he came back and had 2 more fights.
Right.
This is Nate being Nate. He wants fights that interest him. If he's not going to get his rematch, he's not going to chase it down. Right. He flat out said that. I'm not going to chase it down.
Not going to beg for it.
But if someone's going to come at me and want to fight me and come at me right, and there's someone who's got a big name or someone who did something like Jorge Masvidal with that big knee, that's a fight that I want. That's the reason why he paid attention to Masvidal, because he's been there and he did that. He was the it thing at the time. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to run it back. I don't. It is what it is. I think good for Jorge Masvidal. I'd like to see an interesting fight with him as he works towards the real belt.
Do you have the rankings? Yeah, I see you got it on the click right there.
Yes, I do.
Because Sutherland's want to know where Leon is on the ranking.
Let's take a look at that.
170.
At 170, you got Kamaru Usman. Obviously, he's your champion. Tyrone Woodley, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. Leon Edwards is number 4.
Number 4. So Jorge's 3, Leon's 4.
I could totally understand why you see that.
Right.
I could definitely. But
I could also see Jorge fighting Woodley, too.
I would like to see that fight. I would also like to say that we know that these rankings really don't matter.
Yeah. Not until next year.
Apparently next year we're getting legit rankings. But yeah, if you wanted to go by these rankings, I could understand a number 3 and number 4, especially with the 3-piece Minnesota history. I would totally understand. I would like to see Jorge Masvidal against Colby Covington or Tyrone Woodley, in my opinion. Doesn't always work out that way, but that would be some good fights. That's it for UFC 244. What do we got going on? We got a recap. What do we got? Invicta?
Invicta 38, which was a bloodbath.
I only got to watch bits and pieces of this. You got to watch the whole thing on that.
Yeah.
So on your main event, you had Kanako Murata get the win over Emily Ducote. Was this for a title? Was that for a title?
Just the strawweight was.
Just so that bout there.
Yeah.
So Kanako Murata is your new strawweight for Invicta.
Right.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yep. Invicta FC strawweight champion.
All right. And then Vanessa Porto gets the win over Karina Rodriguez. Any of the other fights that stand out to you?
No. It was a card full of decisions, but all the girls beat the shit out of each other. The only runaway was the Norton fight, and I mean the judges' cards reflect that. That was a 30-26. Mm-hmm. It was pretty bad, but the rest of these fights
really close,
except for the Mallory Martin fight. Again, that was completely one-sided fight. But man, I told the people in the room when we were watching this. And this is happening in the UFC too. I think the level of competition is so equal that this is where we're going to. I mean,
it's getting real.
We're going to see death matches. You know,
I know you would appreciate that. You would definitely appreciate that.
I kind of would, but at some point, I'm going to have to start feeling bad.
One championship, Masters of Fate, happened basically this morning over in Singapore. Actually, this was in the Philippines, and you had Joshua Pacquiao get the win over Ryan Catalan for the one strawweight championship.
One American, and he lost.
And Edward Forlian gets the win over Marisana Tsuku.
Did he lose to somebody named Stamp?
Stamp Fairtex, man.
Stamp Fairtex apparently posted your ass.
Yeah, so you can check that up. I believe that's still on the Bleacher Report app and situation they got going on with one. Moving on from there, what do we got? We got Bellator. Got Bellator going on. Is this today? Is today the 8th?
Yes.
Today. It's going on today. I never know what day it is.
Right.
We got, this is going to be all on the Paramount Network and DAZN. Oh, I'm sorry. DAZN. John Statler.
DAZN.
John Statler taking on Costello Van Steenis. King Mo going up against Andrew Capel. Leslie Smith getting her fight up against Arlene Blenkau. And Tyrell Fortune going against Azuna Awanu. That is all going to be on the Paramount Network and DAZN. Moving on from there.
I'm glad to see Leslie Smith fighting, man.
Yeah, she's extremely happy over in Bellator.
Right.
Says she has way more opportunities than she ever did in the UFC.
And you can go out and seek your own sponsors to wear wherever you want.
That's what she wanted. Or she just wants other opportunities. Anyway, moving on. We have UFC Fight Night. Magomedov against Qatar. Also, UFC Fight Night 163. Also known as UFC Fight Night. UFC on ESPN Plus 21. UFC Moscow.
Moscow.
You want some vodka for that? Take a shot? Nobody? All right, moving on.
Nobody?
All right, so on your prelims, you got Grigori Papadov going up against Davey Grant. Panini Kanzad going against Jessica Rose Clark. Alexander Yelkovic going up against Roosevelt Roberts. Abu Akbar Nurmagomedov going up against David Zawada. Roman Kopilov going up against Carl Robertson. Rustamom Khabibov going up against Sergey.
There's a lot of Babalov.
Magomedov and Akelev going up against Talacha Legnagula.
I'm just going to remove the sign today.
It's so many names.
Just completely done.
Your main card still on ESPN Plus. Shamil Gamanastov going up against Kalis Abreu. Ramazan Imiv going up against Anthony Oraco Martin. Kadis Igaramirmov going up against Ed Herman. Thanks you for one name I can pronounce. Zalim Amadev going up against Danny Roberts. Your main events. No inhalers allowed.
Oh, co-main event?
Co-main event, excuse me. Alexander Volkov going up against Greg Hardy.
Volkov taking this on short notice, right?
I believe, no, Greg Hardy's taking this on short notice. Right. Okay. Alexander Volkov was supposed to fight Junior Dos Santos. Junior Dos Santos has a giant hole in his leg. Greg Hardy is stepping in. This is a huge step up in competition for Greg Hardy.
We'll see where he's at.
The Athletic Commission has already told him, along with the UFC, you are not allowed to use an inhaler in between rounds.
So can he hit it before he comes in?
Maybe.
Better
get a good one in.
Get a little.
I think there's rumors he may be wearing the Bane mask after he borrowed it from Shogun Hua, who used to have some.
Can his ring guy hit it, bring it in, and then
blow it in his mouth? That would be hilarious.
We call that shotgunning?
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. He did it.
He did it, man. You got any drugs in the car? Not anymore.
And, of course, your main event, Zabit Magomed-Shapirov going up against Calvin Kattar in your featherweight division. Now, originally I looked at this, and I was trying to figure out
He was perplexed, people. He was perplexed.
Why Zabit, who is number 5 in the rankings, is going up against...
Angry Abe is what everybody's calling him, I think.
Yeah.
Angry Abe.
Number 5 in the rankings going up against number 11. Like, what does this do for Zabit? But then looking at the rankings...
Adds another tombstone to the cemetery, my friend.
It does. Looking at the ranking, I mean, he has 17-1.
No, he's a bad man.
And he has not lost in the UFC.
I remember when I first was watching him on the undercards, I was like, dude, this guy's going to get his ass whooped. And then I was like, holy shit.
He has not lost in the UFC. Looking at the rankings at 145, you got... Obviously, Max Holloway at the top.
Right.
Champ, right? He is going to be going up against Volkanovski at UFC 245 later this year. So you got number 1, you got the champ, and you got the number 1 guy. Makes sense. Right?
It does.
You got number 2, Brian Ortega, who just came off that loss. He's just coming off the loss, I think, to Max, right? He just came off the title shot loss. He's going to be fighting the Korean Zombie later this month, or excuse me, next month. So that's a great fight. That's a number 2 and a number 7. I think that's a great fight. Aldo and Edgar are going to be dropping from the rankings going to 135, so they kind of are a wash. So you got Zabit sitting there fighting
with
Qatar. And then you also got, if you look at the rest of the rankings, Yair with that big win over Stevens doesn't have a fight booked yet, but I mean, I could see a bout with Zabit if he wins this, or even a bout with the loser of the Max Volkanov fight.
Now, if he catches a stray foot or somebody pushes his button, do you think it was a bad thing that he took this fight just to make up time?
Who?
Zabit. If he somehow he gets knocked out in this fight.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just more pride to fight at home.
Okay.
I really think that's a big thing for him. You got Moisiano coming off 2 losses, so he doesn't really. You got Stevens coming off the loss of the year. You got Emmett just won against Bektik, who's kind of towards the bottom. Burgos just got his win. Bektik lost to Emmett, so he's down. Yeah, so I mean, really, it's pretty close up there, and they're actually putting together some decent fights for rankings that don't matter. Sean Shelby's doing a great job looking at the rankings.
Well, maybe he's going off his own rankings that do matter, and that's why they don't line up with the rankings that don't matter.
That's maybe what it is. I want to see Sean Shelby's rankings. That's what I want to see. So yeah, check that out on.
You think it's a wall with strings attached?
And he's just like doing all the numbers. All right, so we got this guy to this guy, this guy to this guy. He lost to him. He's over here. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
That's it, though. That's your week of fights. That was UFC 244. Let us know, guys, what you guys think. Should it have gone a 4th round?
And we do check comments both on this page, YouTube.
Was the stoppage justified? Would you like to see it gone a 4th round? Yeah.
You
guys have a good night.